The first morning it happened, David noticed the old woman's hand tremble against the counter as she laid down the bills.
2 coffees, please. 1 for here. The other is for someone else.
Someone else?
The nurse who ends her shift at 6. I'd like her to have it waiting. No name.
You want to buy coffee for a stranger?
Not a stranger. Someone who deserves it. And please, don't tell her it came from me.
David didn't press. He poured a second cup, sealed it, and watched her drink quickly and leave before the nurse arrived. Minutes later, the door chimed, and a woman in powder blue scrubs walked in, eyes heavy with exhaustion. David held out the lidded cup.
I didn't order this.
David watched her cradle the cup, and the question stuck with him. Why would a frail old woman secretly pay for a nurse's coffee? He felt there was a story there. The next morning, the same woman returned at dawn. David didn't ask her name. He just poured 2 coffees and took her money.
You are back.
Long night. Oncology doesn't let you sleep.
Over the following weeks, the routine held. The old woman came each dawn, paid, and left. Karen began to talk to David about the patients, the losses, the weight of working nights.
Why does she do it? She's getting frailer every day.
One Friday, Karen lingered over her coffee. She told David about a patient she'd held as they passed.
Sometimes it feels like no one sees us. The nurses. We're just there.
David glanced out the window and saw the old woman stumbling on the curb. Ruth's decline was becoming undeniable.
Just tired, dear. Don't worry.
David nodded, but a small worry lodged in his chest. He was keeping a secret, and the woman who gave it to him was fading. 2 days later, Ruth stumbled through the door, well after dawn, her face pale. David took her arm and guided her to the nearest chair.
You are not just tired. Let me call someone.
No. I just need a minute. Don't fuss.
Why do you do this? Pay for her coffee every morning.
Some debts can only be paid forward. That's all I can say.
She left soon after, refusing more help. An hour later, Karen walked in, her eyes red.
We lost a patient last night. I sat with her for hours. The worst part is when they're scared, and there's nothing you can do.
Could that be why? A debt to a nurse who sat with someone she loved.
David didn't ask. He just handed her the coffee and listened, the question burning behind his eyes. The next morning, Ruth didn't come. David watched the door until the coffee grew cold. By the second day of her absence, he couldn't stop his hands from shaking as he poured Karen's cup. When Karen walked in, there was no cup waiting. She looked at the counter, confused.
They paid ahead last week, told me to keep it going. It's still from them.
That's kind of odd. But thank you. Sometimes I feel like someone's looking out for me. It's strange.
David's stomach twisted. He was lying to keep a dying woman's secret, and he didn't even know if she was still alive. That night, he closed the cafe and stared at the chair where she used to sit, wondering if he'd ever see her again.
I need to find out who she is, before this secret buries me.
He had no name, no number. Just a promise, and a pile of coffee receipts he'd been keeping. 3 mornings later, the bell above the door rang, and Ruth walked in, thinner than before, but alive. David's relief was immediate and sharp.
The usual young man. And please don't ask me any questions this time.
You need to tell me what's happening. You are getting worse. I can't keep pretending.
It's my body shutting down. That's all. The doctors gave me weeks, not months. That's why I come every day I can. You'll understand soon enough. For now, just let me do this my way.
He wanted to push, but she laid a trembling hand on his and squeezed. Then she was gone, leaving David with a sickness in his chest that wasn't his own. An hour later, Karen came in, and he forced a smile, handing her the coffee without a word about the woman who'd paid.
You ever have a patient haunt you? Not literally, but you keep thinking about them months later. I had a woman, Ruth was her name. She was so scared to die alone. I held her hand every night for 3 weeks. When she finally went, nobody came.
David listened, and the pieces shifted in his head. A debt to a nurse, paid forward. He didn't say anything, but the name Ruth echoed in his mind. That night, David called the hospital. A weary receptionist confirmed a terminal patient named Ruth in palliative care. No visitors listed.
She's the same Ruth. The one Karen held every night until the end.
The next morning, David moved through the cafe like a ghost. When Karen walked in, she saw it instantly.
David, you've been miles away all week. What's happening?
Just tired, Karen. Long week. Nothing to worry about.
You can talk to me. Whatever it is, I've probably heard worse in an oncology ward.
I am holding a secret that could break her, and I can't let it go.
He didn't answer. Instead, he turned to the espresso machine and let the hiss of steam drown out the silence. After closing, David sat alone in the dark cafe. The pile of receipts lay on the counter, a paper trail of one woman's final gesture.
She's dying alone, and Karen doesn't even know she's being thanked. How long can I carry this before it breaks me?
The morning after his sleepless night, Ruth came before the sun was fully up, her steps slower than he'd ever seen.
I won't be coming much longer, so I need you to take this.
What is this? You can't just disappear on me.
A year ago, I was alone in a hospital bed. A young nurse named Karen stayed with me every night. I never got to thank her.
I know. She told me about a patient named Ruth. I didn't know it was you.
You've kept my secret. Now keep this one. Give her this letter when I am gone. Don't open it.
He looked down at the envelope. It was sealed, and his name wasn't on it.
This is hers, not mine. I am just the messenger.
She patted his hand and moved toward the door, a ghost already half gone.
She never asked me to read it. She trusted me to just deliver it. I can't break that.
Ruth didn't come the next morning or the one after. David kept the note hidden, and every dawn he poured Karen's cup and lied to himself.
Every day, the same cup, waiting. It's like whoever this is knows my schedule better than I do.
David heard the suspicion sharpening in her voice, though she kept it soft.
The only people who'd know my routine work at the hospital, or were patients there. Sometimes I wonder if it's a family member thanking me.
His hands froze for a second before he turned to the espresso machine, hiding his face in the steam.
You know something, David. Something you are not saying. Who is it?
There's no mystery. Someone just wants to be kind.
She didn't believe him. The silence between them grew heavy. Her gaze dropped to his apron pocket, where the edge of the envelope was just visible.
Then why do you carry that envelope like it's made of lead?
He slid the envelope deeper and handed her the cup, the weight of it burning against his chest.
Late that night, the cafe phone rang. A palliative care nurse told David that Ruth was fading and had asked for him.
She's asking for me. I need to go. The note. I'll take it.
He drove across town, through the empty streets. The hospital corridor was silent, lights dimmed for the night, footsteps echoing. In the room, Ruth lay pale against the sheets, smaller than he remembered. The machines beeped softly, a lullaby for the dying.
You came. Thank you for keeping my secret. Tell Karen, tell her it was me. Tell her she made dying less lonely.
He squeezed her hand, and she squeezed back. Then her eyes closed and her grip went slack. The room fell silent but for the machines. David stayed there a long time, the envelope in his pocket, seeming to burn against his chest.
It's time. I have to give her the note, but not tonight. Tomorrow.
He walked out into the cold night, the note untouched. The promise now, a weight he couldn't put down.
Tomorrow, I'll find Karen. I'll hand her the envelope, and then what?
David couldn't sleep. He sat on the edge of his bed and took out the envelope, his fingers tracing the seal.
If I opened it, I'd know what to say. But it's not for me.
He set the envelope on the nightstand and stared at it until dawn. In the morning, he put on his apron and drove to the cafe early, the note heavier than before. Karen was waiting outside the door, Her scrubs swapped for jeans and a sweater, her expression raw.
I got off early. I needed to talk to someone. You are the only person who seems to see me. That free coffee. It's the one thing that makes me feel like I am not invisible. Does that make sense?
David's hand closed around the envelope in his apron pocket. He couldn't do it. Not yet.
It makes perfect sense, Karen. Come inside. I'll make your coffee.
He poured the cup himself and handed it to her, the envelope still tucked away, the secret still his alone. The rest of the day, David moved through the cafe on autopilot. His fingers kept drifting to the envelope in his pocket. He decided, after closing, he'd drive to the hospital, find Karen, and finally tell her the truth.
I can't keep carrying this. Tonight, I'll give her the note.
But as the afternoon light started to fade, the door chimed and Karen walked in. She was still in street clothes, her eyes red-rimmed, and she headed straight for the counter.
I couldn't stop thinking about this morning. About what you are not saying. I need the truth, David.
David's hand tightened around the envelope in his apron. He looked at her desperate face and felt the wall he'd built finally crack.
The person who paid for your coffee every morning. She's gone. She died last night.
Karen went still. Her breath caught.
What do you mean? Who was it? Why are you telling me now?
He pulled the envelope from his apron and placed it carefully on the counter between them. Her name was Ruth. She left you this. Karen stared at the envelope, her hands frozen at her sides. The name Ruth slammed into her chest, recognition and disbelief colliding on her face with trembling fingers. Karen picked up the envelope and tore it open. The cafe was silent, except for the soft crackle of paper. Dear Karen, if you are reading this, I've already gone. I know you think I don't remember you, but I've never forgotten. You held my hand through the worst nights of my life. You made dying less lonely. Thank you. Ruth. Karen's eyes scanned the words, and her face crumbled. She clutched the paper to her chest as a sob escaped.
Ruth, oh God, I remember her. She was so frightened and alone. I held her hand, but I didn't know she remembered.
She pulled the note away to look at it again, then pressed it against her forehead, her shoulders shaking.
She was carrying this guilt for months, and now she knows she was seen.
She paid for my coffee every morning for weeks, and I didn't even know she was alive. How did I not know?
She came here every dawn that she could. It was the only way she could thank you. She made me promise not to tell.
And you kept that promise. For her. You held onto this for me.
She lowered the note and stared at David, the weight of the secret now shared. In the silence, the cafe felt like a confessional.
She did this every morning for me. A dying woman dragged herself here, and I never knew. I held her hand once, and she never forgot.
David didn't move. He let her words hang in the air, the guilt of his secrecy still sharp in his chest.
You knew all along, David. You've been carrying this for weeks, haven't you?
I did. She made me promise. She told me you held her hand when nobody else came. She said, you made dying less lonely.
I didn't know she was out there. I thought she was gone, and she was here all along, watching me.
She looked at the seat across from her, the one Ruth might have taken, then back at David.
Please, sit with me, for a little while.
David pulled out the chair and sat. Their knees nearly touched. The note lay between them, no longer a secret. For a long moment, they just breathed. No words. The weight in David's chest finally eased.
Thank you for keeping her secret, and for sitting with me now. It means more than you know.
They sat together as the cafe closed around them, Karen's voice steadier now, sharing memories of Ruth's quiet strength.
She always smiled when I came in, even when the treatments were hurting her. She asked about my day, my family. She made me feel like I mattered. After she died, I felt invisible, like no one saw me anymore. But every morning, that coffee, It was like she was still watching over me.
David watched her, the way her fingers traced the note's edge, the gratitude softening her exhaustion.
You've never been invisible to me, Karen. From the first morning, I saw someone who gave everything and got nothing back. That's not invisible.
Their eyes met, and for a breath, the rest of the world fell away.
Then thank you for seeing me, David. For sitting with me now. That's a gift too.
Her hand covered his, and neither pulled away. Outside, the night sky gave way to the first pale streaks of dawn. The cafe was silent, sacred. In the quiet of Sunrise Brews, a barista and a nurse sat hand in hand, a thread of kindness holding them together. In the days that followed, coffee at Sunrise Brews was no longer a transaction. Karen began to stay, sliding into the same seat, sometimes talking, sometimes quiet.
You know, when I first started coming here, I could barely keep my eyes open. Now I look forward to this.
David stopped pretending someone else had paid. He simply poured her coffee and brought it to the table.
No more mystery benefactor.
Just me now. Hope that's okay.
It was more than okay. The free coffee ritual had ended, but something honest was taking root.
I brought something for the counter to remember Ruth by.
David set it beside the register, a small patch of stubborn green in the morning sun. Sometimes they just sat in the quiet, the note now folded and safe in Karen's pocket. The silence no longer heavy, but companionable.
This place used to feel empty at dawn. Now it feels like it's waiting for her.
A few weeks later, the note from Ruth was no longer in Karen's pocket. It hung in a simple black frame behind the counter, next to the succulent.
I have the day off. I thought I'd stay a little longer, if that's all right.
You don't have to ask. There's always a seat for you here.
He meant it. The cafe had become more than a place to pour coffee. It was a place where people found each other.
Actually, I was wondering, would you want to have breakfast after your shift? I know a place a block away.
I'd like that.
Good. It's a date, then.
For the first time, the word didn't carry the weight of secrecy. It just felt right. He locked up an hour later, and they walked out into the late morning sun together, past the empty counter where Ruth used to stand. It wasn't a goodbye to her. It was the next chapter of the story she started. One early morning, before David arrived, Karen slipped a folded note onto the counter right beside the register. David found it an hour later, his name written in her handwriting, a single K beneath. The note read, "For the barista who kept a secret and sat with me, thank you." He read it twice, then folded it carefully and tucked it into his shirt pocket, close to his heart. The cafe was still, the only light spilling from the window onto the empty chair where Ruth once sat. He looked at the chair and smiled, not with sadness, but with the quiet knowledge that some kindnesses never end. They are like seeds, planted in the dark, that wait for their season to grow. Ruth's seed had found soil in a coffee shop, in a barista's hands, in a nurse's heart, and Karen's note was proof that it had bloomed. He patted his pocket, where the note rested, and turned to open the cafe. The sun rose higher, and the world felt a little less lonely. The seasons turned, but the sunrise always found the counter of Sunrise Brews. Ruth's note stayed framed behind the register, her handwriting now a part of the wood. The succulent beside it grew taller, catching the morning light. Karen's scrubs seemed to fit a little looser, her steps a little lighter, and David poured every cup with the same quiet care she had taught him. In a small cafe where the sun always found the counter, a barista learned that keeping a secret can be a form of love, and a nurse learned that sometimes a thank you can reach across time. The empty chair became a reminder not of loss, but of a gift given without expectation. Life moved forward, but the story stayed, etched into the morning routine, and every dawn, as the steam rose, they both felt it, the quiet presence of a woman who had made dying less lonely. One last morning, Karen and David sat at the small table by the window. 2 cups rested between them, steam curling into the sunrise. Through the window, the sun rose over the quiet street, painting the cafe in gold. They didn't need to speak. The silence was full of everything she had given them. The sign above the door read, "Sunrise Brews," and for the first time, the name felt like a promise. The camera pulled back, the window growing smaller, until the whole cafe was just aglow against the morning sky. And then, the screen faded to white, holding the light. She paid for a tired nurse's coffee each morning, until the nurse said, "Please sit with me." The light lingered, then slowly dimmed until only the echo of steam remained. And in the quiet, the story settled into the bones of the place, never to be forgotten. For some kindnesses are not an ending, but a beginning. The next morning, before the first customer, David poured a fresh coffee and set it on the empty chair where Ruth used to sit. A single sunflower rested beside it, a small nod to the woman who had made this place sacred. At the door, Karen paused, her eyes glistening as she watched him. Through the tears, a smile broke, warm and knowing. David turned, and their eyes met across the room. Neither spoke, but the air was full of understanding. The sun rose higher, flooding the counter with light that seemed to hold the warmth of 1,000 dawns. He nodded. Just once. She nodded back. A promise without words, and in that quiet ritual, the past and the present joined hands. Some mornings, the coffee tastes a little bit like gratitude, and every morning since, that taste lingers, carried on the steam and the light. The camera lingered on the framed note behind the counter, Ruth's words still bright in the morning light. Then it moved to the succulent, still reaching toward the window, a stubborn green in a world of coffee browns. 2 coffee cups sat side by side on the counter. Empty now, washed clean, waiting for the next dawn. A beam of sunrise hit the cups, making the porcelain glow, as if the light itself was saying thank you. The cafe was empty, yet full. Full of the stories it had held, the secrets kept, the kindnesses planted. On the wooden counter, a faint coffee ring marked where so many cups had rested, a map of mornings. And then the light began to fade, pulling back slowly, as if leaving the room to its memories. The frame, the succulent, the cups, they became silhouettes as the sunrise settled into afternoon. And then a final breath of steam rose from the empty cup, a ghost of warmth, before it vanished, fade to black. The story was over, but its echo would live in every cup poured at sunrise. The screen held a deep black for a long moment. Then, slowly, a soft light bloomed in the center. Words appeared, as if written in steam, a final dedication. For every nurse who sat with someone in the dark, the letters lingered, a quiet tribute to those who hold hands when the light fades. Then a soft sound rose, a whisper of steam, a memory of coffee, a breath of comfort. The screen faded once more to black, holding the silence and the gratitude. And all that remained was the echo of that whisper, carried on the steam. A single coffee cup appeared, steam rising, then vanishing into the dark. The whisper faded. The story ended, but its warmth would stay. Fade to black.